Hola a todos, estamos acá en Isla de Man. Nos atendió lo que es el Ministro de Economía de acá de Isla de Man, el doctor Alex Allinson, el cual estoy muy agradecido que nos haya recibido. Nice to meet you, doctor. Y bueno, vamos a hacer algunas preguntas un poco para entender cómo funciona lo que es Isla de Man, sobre todo la economía, como generalmente tratamos de abordar en este canal. Así que bueno, sin más, arranco con las preguntas. Bueno, muchas gracias por recibirnos y le quisiera consultar cómo podría describir en general Isla de Man para quien no conoce qué es Isla de Man.
Yeah, the Isle of Man is a small island in the middle of the Irish Sea with about 85,000 people here. About half of the people here were born and come from families that lived on the island, but increasingly over the last century we've had people from all around the world coming here, whether it be from South America, from Europe, from South Africa as well. People have come here very much to do business. But also to enjoy the quality of life we have here. It is a Crown dependency, so we have our own parliament. It's a very small parliament, it's 24 members, and very few are members of political parties. A lot of them are independents. So we do have some political parties, but a lot of it is consensus politics. And I think that helps in a very small country enable us to become quite nimble when it comes to changing our legislation to meet what can be the challenges of an increasingly uncertain world.
¿Cuáles son sus prioridades centrales de este año y el año próximo, por ende en los próximos 18 meses, y cuáles son los resultados concretos que está esperando que ocurran aquí en Isla de Man?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming to the Isle of Man. We are a small island of 85,000 people, and so a small island economy can be very, very fragile at certain times. The key priorities that we've set out in our government are to raise median earnings and putting money investment into things like education and healthcare, which are free and universal here. But more than that, we also have issues here with the demographics of our society. We have an older society, people growing older. A lot of our young people go to the United Kingdom for universities or education, and we need to get them back. So we have a skills shortage here. So one of the key priorities is to grow the active working population, and to do that we need investment in housing in particular, which has become stretched. And we know we have some problems attracting people back to the Isle of Man, but also keeping them here when they're here, because housing costs have become one of the dominant issues for median income families in particular. So we've been trying to create a family-friendly policy here with increased investment in education, in childcare credits as well, but also increased benefits for people with children. So the key priorities are to maintain our economy, to start growing it, but also to look after our community.
¿Qué sectores están traccionando mejor la economía en lo que es, por ejemplo, los juegos en líneas, que entiendo que están regulados aquí, la manufactura especializada, espacio audiovisual? ¿Cuáles son esos sectores que están también atrayendo talento aquí a Isla de Man?
Yeah. The Isle of Man is a small island in the middle of the Irish Sea, roughly equally distant between Ireland and the United Kingdom. Our economy has changed over the centuries. It was originally fishing and agriculture. During the Victorian times, mass tourism came here. But then in the earlier part of the 1950s and 60s, that went. And so the island recreated itself in terms of financial services, as many small island communities have around the world, particularly Crown dependencies. Now, we've had to constantly adapt and change. So financial services in terms of banking, insurance is still very big here. But we also have manufacturing sectors here, particularly in terms of aircraft. We have high quality sectors as well, looking at interesting ideas of finance, but also tourism is still a growing factor here. We try to make sure that we can use the UNESCO Biosphere status that we have. We're the only sole jurisdiction who has that, by attracting more visitors to come here. Every year we have the TT, which is one of the largest motorcycle races in the world, on our roads, and attracts tens of thousands of people across, and gives us the springboard to promote the Isle of Man as some way to come and live. So in terms of the sectors, we've have an iGaming sector here. That has gone through consolidation, maturation, but what we're looking at is growing some of the domestic economy in terms of jobs for local people, as I've already said, housing, and particularly looking at tourism and trying to keep up with the increased financial regulations to make sure we retain our status as a well-run financial jurisdiction.
Si una empresa internacional quisiera aquí ubicar su sede de operaciones de tesorería o la gestión de la propiedad intelectual, ¿cuál es el camino recomendado que aconseje para que esto encaje en los caminos habituales de Isla de Man?
We have a department for enterprise that actively goes to various conferences around the world to tell people what the Isle of Man can offer. We do not offer illegal activities here. We are a well-regulated jurisdiction signed up to many international treaties. But by being a small country, we can be nimble and quick, so we can adapt to new business ventures. What I would encourage any business that's thinking about relocating here is to come and talk to our Department for Enterprise. We will give practical support and help with them becoming based here. In terms of some of the things we don't encourage, it's those illegal activities, money laundering, the proceeds of crime. Particularly at the moment, we're looking at working far more with other jurisdictions than ever before in terms of serious organised crime, whether that be about people smuggling, drug smuggling, or also money laundering. And we've been taking part in a number of recent investigations where we've had multinational crime syndicates trying to get into the banking financial systems both here and across Europe.
¿Cómo explicaría el equilibrio de la carga impositiva baja y el objetivo de que el capital se despliegue productivamente a toda la isla? O sea, ¿qué instrumentos priorizan para que el capital llegue y vuelva, digamos, a la sociedad de Isla de Man?
Yeah. It's always been a bit of a paradox when you compare some of the Scandinavian countries, which are high taxation, high welfare, with somewhere like the Isle of Man, which is relatively low direct taxation, but we try to provide quite a high level of welfare spending and a welfare state. We have indirect taxation here in terms of value-added tax. We have an agreement with the United Kingdom, and that's set at 20%, and we have a VAT sharing agreement with them. We also have a national insurance scheme where people who are working and their employers contribute towards the welfare state. And we have a ring-fenced national insurance fund which pays for people's pensions and also certain benefits. So in terms of that cash flow coming in, we've made some serious changes over the last 20 years in terms of corporation tax and raising it for larger companies. Last year we brought in an increased corporation tax on banks and also signed up to the OECD Pillar 2 structure in terms of a minimum corporation tax 15% for the large multinationals who are either based here or do business through here. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do is to develop a far more progressive taxation policy, take some of the tax burden off of working people on the Isle of Man and trying to share it out more generally across all the economic sectors.
¿Y cuáles serían las buenas prácticas que tienen acá en Isla de Man para resguardar a quienes ingresen su dinero aquí en la isla?
I think it is now standard practice, being a jurisdiction that does have quite a large financial sector here, to look at the risks of money laundering, KYC, having those regulations. We are signed up to all the international regulations in terms of money laundering. Moneyval, who are part of the Council of Europe, are due to do an inspection of us next year and will be looking at how we work around things like combating the financing of terrorism and money laundering. So over the last 5 years, since the last inspection, we've been doing a huge amount of work through our Financial Services Authority, through working with the local companies here that are based here to make absolutely certain that we are as strong and as robust as possible dealing with money laundering. We've also brought in line, not just with the United Kingdom, but also with the EU, a whole range of sanctions since the Russian invasion of the Ukraine in terms of identifying those proceeds that are by nominated people who are under sanctions. And we've recently also been extending those sanctions to certain members of the Israeli government who have also been sanctioned by the UK. So in terms of KYC and money laundering, I think we're in a very good place at the moment, but it is, again, working with the local companies here to make sure that we are not in any way a harbour for illicit money, either coming from crime or corruption anywhere around the world.
Okay. Y a la luz del nuevo impuesto mínimo legal, ¿qué es lo que está haciendo Isla de Man en ese sentido y qué es lo que intenta adaptarse a este nuevo escenario?
Yeah. In terms of the OECD framework, we signed up to it. We see the benefit of having a common benchmark of minimum corporation tax. And so we worked with the other Crown dependencies, Jersey and Guernsey, to bring this in at the same time. So we've signed up to Pillar 2. From the 1st of January this year, we implemented a qualified domestic minimum top-up tax and a qualified income inclusion rule in accordance with the OECD's GLOBE rules. And the island continues to closely monitor international developments, including in relation to Pillar 2 global minimum tax, and will ensure that the island's regime remains attractive to businesses that fall within the scope of these new rules. Again, one of the benefits of the Isle of Man isn't just about tax, it's also about the quality of life here, the security here, the safety, but also the fact that when companies come here, they can come and talk to the Treasury Minister, as you are today, or meet our Chief Minister, or meet other people in government, so we can work together with both the representatives of the public sector and private sector for the benefit of our community.
Okay. Y en el caso de una persona física que deja su dinero aquí en Isla de Man, ya sea un depósito en dólares o sea por compra y venta de acciones, primero, ¿cuáles son los intercambios de información que hay con el resto de los países? ¿Si eso realmente se ejecuta o es algo sencillamente declarativo?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a challenge to answer that in simple terms, because the sharing of confidential financial information has to be done carefully. But in terms of information exchange, the island is an active participant in the OECD's Global Forum on Transparency and Exchange for Information for Tax Purposes, and is one of 170 jurisdictions participating on an equal footing on that. And that manages and monitors peer reviews the implementation of those international standards. We also signed up to the Common Reporting Standards, which was developed by the OECD, and over 120 countries have signed up for that, including Argentina, so that when somebody is based here, their information can be shared with those other jurisdictions that have signed up to the CRS Multinational Competent Authority Agreement. Now, that sort of data includes the account holder's name, address, tax identification number, as well as the annual balances on the account and any payments or accounts credited to that account during the relevant reporting period. We also have similar information exchanged automatically with the United States pursuant to the Foreign Accounts Tax Compliance Act. So we do have the ability to share information routinely and automatically on an annual basis with the other people who've signed up to the CRS. On top of that, when there is any evidence of criminal activity, we will cooperate as well in terms of the exchange of information with either the financial institutions or the criminal justice institutions as well in particular cases that may come up.
Bueno, finalizamos acá la entrevista. La verdad que fue bastante interesante, bastante nutritiva en términos de información. Así que bueno, sin más, si te gustó este video, como siempre puedes ponerle me gusta, puedes compartirlo, puedes suscribirte al canal, que vamos a seguir con más de este tipo de videos. Y espero que nos veamos pronto. Hasta luego.